Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Printing's Alive with me, Warren Werbitt. Today, I have another guest, special guest. This one's actually really special because I think most of you listening will relate to him. We have Nile Saïd. Did I get your name right?
You did. Thank you.
Okay, because I practiced. Uh, Nile's from GoOneUp, and I was introduced to Nile a little while ago, just from a friend of mine, and we just started talking. He does coaching and mentoring and motivational speaking. I'll let you tell everybody what you do in a minute, but I thought about having Niall on as a guest because of what he does, because we all find ourselves in our daily lives in need of some ideas, some tips, some tricks on how to make us move forward. But more importantly, I really wanted him on because for myself in talking to him, I realized, oh my God, I'm not alone in my own head. And when you're busy in life and work and kids and all, everything together, it could be pretty overwhelming. I've been fortunate along the way to get some good help, get some good advice. And the timing of meeting Niall was just perfect. So, Niall, with that, just tell us who you are, basically what you do, and how did you get into what you do?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was awesome. And I could relate to what you were just describing and the timing of us meeting thanks to a mutual friend. It's incredible. So I'm really thankful for that. I've been actually coaching and fell into the industry at a young age, to be honest with you. So I did a lot of soul searching, and I know we spoke in the past, but the idea of trying to find out more about myself in my teen years and fell into the areas of personal development and personal success and trying to figure out the self-awareness part for myself. And I seem to always gravitate to wanting to serve others and find out more and help them become more self-aware and be able to take their game to the next level. So with that, in 2009, I've been coaching since 2009 and quietly coaching since then because I've been in a number of different industries from the internet world, e-commerce, distribution, fulfillment, fitness. And so there's been a number of different chapters to my life as I've always been coaching. And now more recently, I coach people and more specifically entrepreneurs and business owners to really ensure that they don't fall into a trap of a lack of mental and emotional capacity to function.
I'm
So,
just laughing because I'm just thinking about how the head spins, right? And we're not alone because everybody's head spins. But first, I want to just point out something because you mentioned you've been coaching since 2009. So for people that are listening, coaching in 2009 was cutting edge. Today, there's coaching courses everywhere for anyone who wants to become a coach, but not everybody's able to be a coach. You have to have some really good life experiences, and you have to have a reason why you want to be a coach if you want people to feel you and understand you on the other side. So I just wanted to say that because everywhere I turn, my whole feed, every time I mention the word coach, it's coach, coach, coach. And, there's some really amazing coaches out there, but there are, I think, a lot more that aren't so good because they just don't have what it takes. They just did the course. In any case, from our conversations, you basically got into it way back then because you were going through your own life shit, right? Nothing better to call it. You had a business, you built it up. So just give us the story of how you got into it in your own track in life.
well, to be honest with you, I actually took a certification back in 2009, always keeping my eye on it. As you just mentioned, back in 2009, coaching was just c- coming about. It was just coming about. So it was really just about being a life coach. And that was it. Obviously, over the last few years, I would say 10 years or so, you've had to come and really niche down because everyone could just be a coach. But if you have expertise and really know what you could experience and bring it forth to someone else, then it's a game changer. And you could help people more specifically rather than a general sense. So that's important to decipher and determine. But I actually was in the corporate world up until 2009. I earned my certification as a coach and came from the internet world. Even pre-internet, I was in desktop publishing, was there at the dot-com days, rise and fall and the crash. And at the same time, always was taking on leadership roles in a content management team, in development, in and working in the corporate world for a major bank here in Canada. I was in the training and development department and working in the back end of their intranet for the back end employees and their training to train employees on the levels of credit cards and bank accounts and so on. But it always lent itself to the coaching side, being able to add a level of guidance and structure and frameworks to helping somebody achieve their goals. And so that's where it is. But the corporate world, I don't think that there's anything wrong with the corporate world for anybody, but it didn't work for me. Unfortunately, there were a lot of false promises being made, and I got pretty burnt out, pretty wiped out. So I bit the bullet, and I'll tell this little quick story. And this is interesting to me because I was a little taken back by it. But the day I was walking out of my office with the box in hand, and all the colleagues were coming to me and say, "Hey, where are you going? What are you doing? What organization got you?" And I'm thinking, I'm going out on my own. I can't do this anymore. He goes, "What? Are you kidding? How can you do this? Like, what? I could never do this. I'm a lifer." It's the first time I've ever heard the term lifer, and I recognize that there is a lot more that people could find within themselves to achieve more than they want and what they're doing and achieving at that time. That was even more of another catalyst in me going forward and wanting to get into coaching and helping people find their happiness and fulfillment in whatever they do. So there's a number of different ebbs and flows to my journey that brought me to the point of now wanting to serve people on the mental and emotional and even practical small business frameworks and capacity. And it's been fulfilling ever since.
So, but I mean, you had your own business, right? And you were, I believe, it was a gym or something, or
Yeah, I have had a
training.
couple of different operations and so on.
Okay.
A number of years ago, became an exclusive distributor for a fitness brand in Canada. Built the entire e-commerce operation, fulfillment operation to serve the entire nation. Many people didn't know this, but I was a one-man show, except for the 3PL and the distribution center that I was working with, and one assistant to help me with customer care. And it was incredible. Like, I'm so thankful for it, but at the same time, I really burnt the candle at both ends. And I came to a point where at the end of it, and I'll just say what it was. It was a nervous breakdown. So it's kind of scary when you could face a situation where you can't think, you can't complete your sentences, you can't even complete your thoughts. I consider myself as an extrovert, but at the same time, I was afraid to be around family, let alone friends. And so that frightened me. That scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, no, that's I'm sitting here shaking my head because I know what that is, when I had my business. And nervous breakdown, anxiety, depression, they all mean to me the same thing, slightly different, I guess, depending on the level that you're at and how far into that curl you are in the bed, where you don't want to talk to anybody. And it's pretty amazing because I too, like you, extrovert, not introvert. And when I kind of lost my business, not when I kind of when I did lose my business, you go into a shell. And although everyone around you is quite nice and comforting, it's your own brain that encompasses you and freezes you, where it gets to a point where where I didn't want to talk to anyone, I didn't want to look at anyone, I didn't want to go out. I had all this shame, embarrassment, right, for no reason, because I didn't do anything wrong. But you do something, people see you, you become something, or you become something in your own head, and then you have to work around it.
On that point, I'll just mention this. It's incredible how quickly we as humans can fall into what would be defined as our own personal identity, and then we attach ourselves to that. And when it doesn't follow through and it feels like it's fizzling out or you hit a wall, you feel as though your worth is tied to that identity, even though that doesn't exist anymore. And that's what leaves us with the unknown. That's what leaves us with the uncertainty. That's what leaves us with the sense of, how am I being perceived? Which shouldn't matter. How should I move forward is another better question. And how could I reclaim my ownership of who I want to become when it comes to that? So I just want to share, I'm very well aware of how identity is tied to what we do, but it's not entirely tied to what we do. It's tied to who we want to become and how we want to operate. And I just wanted to, because he brought that up, I wanted to share that.
I know. So I've been with a life coach, business coach for the last 4 years. When I met them, I had hit a rock bottom point in life where I had a trail of it. I'll just tell you quickly, like, I lost my business. 60 days later, I lost my mother after a brief illness. 60 days after that, my mother-in-law passed, old age. That wasn't so bad. And she was a nice lady. Then I'm taking the summer off because of the business thing and just to regroup, and someone stole my boat. And then I'm thinking, okay, what does Warren do? Warren 2.0. And as I'm thinking and I'm planning, COVID comes in, I get wiped out again. And then as we go into lockdown, I'm in an 8-year relationship that comes to a grinding halt. And I hit the wall where I could not speak. Like, first of all, I forget lockdown when you're alone, no one to talk to, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't think. It was a depressing thing. It was, you start thinking, what did I do? What did I do? Actually, it was my ex-wife, who's one of my best friends today, mother of my children, which that's a whole other thing, and people should work at that level so your kids are better. But she suggested a friend of hers who was a life coach. I picked up the phone 15 minutes later and got into sessions right away. And I'll tell you, the first couple months, my sessions were, I don't even remember what they were, because there was tears running down my face the whole time, because I just didn't know who I was, where I was, what I was doing, and I didn't see how I was going to get out of it. And the first thing that I learned then, from her, was about the mind, about subconscious, and how it all plays an integral role in what goes on. And your subconscious is there to defeat you, basically, right? And I'm not going to get into the whole detail because I'm not that qualified. But the basics that I learned were, your thoughts become your beliefs, your beliefs become your actions. And most of us, in the thought process, it spins and you keep playing it over and over. And what I learned right away was, well, I was suggested what I should do right away. It took me a little while to get into that practice, but I was told that when you have those thoughts, ask yourself right away, is that true? Like, one of the thoughts was, am I capable? I don't think I'm capable, but I have to be capable because I've been doing what I've been doing for 27 years. I got to where I got. And then, as hard as it is, and I said to myself, oh my God, that's not true. And I moved on to another thought. Now I spun on the other thought. The point is, by putting yourself out there and asking those questions, you stop yourself from sliding down another slippery slope, right?
Absolutely.
And then there's a whole bunch of other things. But so what can you tell us about, when you went through your situation and your burnout? First of all, can you tell us, how might somebody recognize burnout is starting?
There are a lot of signs. And I think a lot of us are aware of them. I'm going to first touch on one thing that you just mentioned before I go into this, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You mentioned about recognizing whether something was true or not. And I think it's really important. Hey, it's awesome.
I always got to promote Bass Pro Shop.
It's important for everybody, if you're able to, and it comes down to that self-awareness that I mentioned before, and that's the idea is, oh wow, I'm out of focus here. There we go. Doesn't matter. You'll come across.
Keep going. It'll always focus up.
And what it is if you operate in life recognizing what's truth, knowing the difference between truth and fiction, things will be a lot easier. But the problem is, we're clouded and bombarded with so many different nuances of what facts could be or may be, that we make them facts as though something is real. And you know how we jump to conclusions. We know that fear, there's so many different, that's an acronym, false evidence appearing real. It's false. I mean, we don't, fear is something of the unknown. And again, if we know, like, oh gosh, I did something crazy at work or in the office, I hope my boss doesn't actually, come back and scold me. Now you're running through all the scenarios of how you're going to position yourself, how are you going to explain yourself, how you're going to, take ownership and responsibility over it. And then all of a sudden you're fearing all this, and then nothing comes out of it. The boss might come to you and saying, hey, I'm aware of this. It didn't kill our budget. I'm aware of this, but we also now know there's a problem to our process and systems. Can I have your help with fixing that now that you are in it? And nothing actually happened, but we spun ourselves in such a bad direction that we brought on so much anxiety, which again impacts our beliefs, our abilities, our capacities, our abilities, our capabilities. And so it really snowballs. As for warning signs, it's incredible how much we all know what the warning signs are, but we dismiss them, thinking it's just a moment. It's just a moment. But here's the problem. If you have a warning sign like you're short with somebody, or you're feeling a little edgy, or you're feeling lethargic or uninspired to something that inspired you just a month ago, a week ago, you figure out what's going on. Why am I not turned on by this project I was just working on yesterday? Am I tired? Am I feeling short? I feel like my thoughts are being short-circuited. And if you realize that, there's a lot of different nuances. It's not like, oh, okay, I'll just continue to grind and push myself through and let's figure this out. And there's a lot more to it. And the last thing I want is for that to keep on stacking on top of each other until you find that cliff and you fall off. Nobody should fall off. I don't wish that upon anyone. Considering what we've both explained and shared with each other and what I know I went through, this is why I do what I do today. If we could see the warning signs and fine tune the approach to making sure that we are owning our purpose, and it's not about all purpose, and I'm not talking about getting all passionate about life, and there's reality too, but at the same time we need to be able to know where the buck stops, and at the same time, what can I do to better serve first myself and then others around me without breaking my legs or banging my head against the wall.
Yeah, no, it's really it's I this conversation. I mean, I keep thinking, and my brain keeps moving in different directions because there's so many different things, right? And we as humans, I mean, everything I'm going to say, I just speak from the me perspective, right? Because I only know me, but I have been through so many things, so many highs, so many lows, so many moments of self-doubt, so many moments of fear, right? And it's the brain that creates it, because when I sit down, and even when I sit down with my coach and we go through things and she's like, is that true? And I'm like, no. Well, can you do that? Sure. Well, then why do you feel that way? And then you get into a different conversation, and there's a lot of things that have come out that maybe I didn't want to face even before, right? And you have to peel back. What did she say? We're going to peel back the layers of the onion, right? And I'm not going to say that everything's related to your mother and your father, but unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that goes back to your early days of how when you were brought up and what you did or didn't do, etc., what you were taught or not taught. And that's a whole other area that you got to get through. But you go through it. Well, I went through that quickly because I was pretty okay with it. But then after the reflecting upon yourself of what you do, and then you think about how you speak to people or how you want to speak to people, and it's really brutal. But actually, the first thing that was suggested to me was to sit down and to work on doing some meditation. And it's not the meditation where you sit there and you're for like 2 hours, because it doesn't work that way, right? The meditation that I was doing was, I got an app. I did the 12-week course, started off 4 minutes a week. And when I'm sitting there, yeah, your brain goes sideways, but you pull it back. But those 15 minutes of just breathing, and you could talk about breathing after and how that changes everything. But those 15 minutes of in the morning of just being by myself and first laughing and then getting used to the person whose voice is guiding the meditations. But I didn't realize it until later on that it was almost a calm setting start to the day. And then I found myself at different times of the day just taking a moment to do 3 deep breaths, which took the angst right out of a lot of things. Because when you're feeling what I was feeling, and you know, let me know if you had the same thing or other people, but you get tight inside, you get twisted where you can't even get it out, or the slightest thing sets you off. You know, the guy at Uber delivers 3 minutes late, my egg roll's cold, and I'm like ready to call them up and fight with them. Like, who's fighting with Uber? They don't even care, but who's fighting with Uber, right?
Yeah.
And then, so the breathing, before I go into a meeting, 3 deep breaths. I mean, and that was just the beginning. But what I was really amazed about was 3 deep breaths changes your whole place where you are at that moment.
Yeah.
It could diffuse you.
It does. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, we breathe naturally without even consciously thinking about it or doing anything about it. This is just the nature of us. As we're alive, we breathe. We take it for granted in regards to how our breathing is patterned, what we're consciously doing and subconsciously doing throughout our days. Even when we fall asleep, our breathing just calms and it allows our bodies to rest, go down a notch. And it's incredible, but when we do the conscious breathing, and this is just one aspect, you're sending more oxygen throughout the body. You're clearing your mind. It's not going to be a light switch, but unfortunately today everyone expects something like to be literally knock you over the head as a change. It's not going to be that way. But as you just alluded to, over time, your body started to recognize over, I don't know, how many days or weeks was your program? You said 12 days or
Well,
12?
it was 12 days, but it's been 4 years
For
of
4 years. But
meditating
again,
now.
just starting it and building on it from day after day, your body's going to start recognizing the difference between tense and shallow breathing and hunched over to relaxed, full breathing, shoulders back, and just expansiveness that our bodies go through. And it's an incredible shift that allows our minds and our subconscious and our nervous system to recalibrate. And that's one exercise. And if we feel like we need to recalibrate, or we're short with somebody, or feel like we're burning out and so on, breathing is just one of those simple free things we could do. And why wouldn't we? But again, it's not the first thing that comes to mind because we do it 24/7. But if we consciously do it, there's one aspect to it. Again, to adding other elements to that, we hear about it all day and night, about self-care, going for the walks that you need, changing your environment,
Oh my
seeing
God.
green, even just seeing green, because our innate nature as humans, we were born in nature. In that sense, like we're a natural being in a natural environment changes things, and greenery and oxygen inducing elements changes even our perception. It helps ease the mind. I'm not a spiritual guide. I'm not a spiritual coach, but at the same time, I'm very familiar with the different practices that we could do as humans that will help ease the strain and become more gentle. Again, first being able to fill our own selves with strength and with purpose and with capacity. That's the main thing I'm talking about, capacity. Then we're able to serve everybody else. And I think that's what comes with it naturally. And we ultimately, at the end of the day, as humans, we want to serve others. I think there's studies that show that if you put yourself in isolation, you're literally shortening your life. That's a bold statement, but you're shortening your life when you put yourself in complete isolation.
Oh, listen, I couldn't agree more with you. By the way, the breathing thing, you can do it even in your car at a red light.
So,
3 deep breaths. And I'll tell you, I'm smiling because I was laughing because I'm in my car and I'm doing it like when I started, and I'm doing, and then when I'm after the third one, I'm like, oh my God, I feel a little lighter. And then I start cracking up to myself, like as if I'm a crazy guy, but it works. It really, so anybody listening, honestly, 3 deep breaths just to start before you go into something, or if you're feeling uptight, or after you're done something. It really is. It's kind of like mind boggling, right?
It really
And
is.
then
It really
the
is.
more you do, and then I find myself suggesting to people that they should breathe. Not that I want to be a preacher, but I'm
But
blown away that it works.
it
It
works.
really works.
But what? Let me ask you: do 100% of them actually say, "Yes, I'm going to do it"? What's your honest opinion?
Oh God, no! Most of them just laugh at me because of everything else I say,
Well,
right? But the few who the conversation is a little serious do it, and then I'll suggest a website or somewhere, because even meditation, you don't have to go crazy. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you could do it lying in bed, you could do it sitting in your chair, you could sit on the floor in a meditation cushion. There is no right or wrong place to close your eyes and to zone out for 5 minutes
and it's
and
okay to
just to
allow your
listen.
mind to scatter. This is the point. It's actually because your mind is always scattering. To try and reel it back in by doing this practice is not easy. Your body's defaulting to the scattered state if that's the state it's always in. And that's why it's important to be gentle, be patient, allow yourself to grow. If you want to start with 2 minutes for 2 days, then the third day go to 3 minutes for 2 days, then go to 4 minutes. Again, in a week's time and 2 weeks' time, you're going to get up to 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and that's time well spent. That's the way I see it. And that's just one component. And we all deserve the time that we could regroup so we don't snap at our family, we don't snap at our colleagues, we don't snap over a project that we're working on.
And I mean, and I don't even think people realize how pent up some of that stress and aggravation is, because everything, what you said it, everybody is today. So everywhere everyone goes, they want today, they want now, they want to do. It really is. Yeah. And for people listening, like really listen. If you feel you're all tense and you're tight, it's okay. It's normal. I mean, from working with my coach, it's more rampant than anybody actually thinks. Right. And then there's
Yeah.
a lot of business people that I just, ask questions like, how do you feel? Do you ever feel like this? And, oh my God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's a reason that there's people like you doing what you do, right? It's almost as needy. It's almost more needed than a doctor, because if your mental state is good, then your body could be better,
Yeah.
right? Because it's all, what is it? What do they say? Stress causes all kinds of issues and diseases and whatnot,
Yeah,
right?
and really, I'm not opposed to obviously the medical world and industry and profession and so on and what could be served, because incredible things are happening, and I know I've had to obviously move towards that. But if there's something that we could do, even just one or two things that prevents the ailments, then take advantage of that. Do it. Like, do it, and it won't hurt, and most things are free. So I don't think there should be any excuses unless you have an ego. And if you let your ego and lack of self-awareness come into play, then you have to work on that too. And I'm being straight about that. I think that there's an opportunity where people have to build on, and I was going to touch on this, whether you want to talk about it or not, but
No, it's all
self-awareness.
good.
Self-awareness, personal self-awareness in recognizing that you might be short or spent, stressed, don't have the capacity. I have this saying, and I express this to a lot of my clients and people I work with or people I have conversations with. We all know that we have the capability, but do we have the capacity to match? And that's what's important, because again, that's what happened to me before I had my unfortunate demise of a nervous breakdown, because I knew I was capable and I kept on going, but I wasn't listening to my body or my mind. So my nervous system shut down.
So if you're okay, tell us a little bit more about the breakdown. Kind of just what happened, and then what happened after you had it to move out of it. Just so if people are listening, they could feel a little bit or understand. The other thing is like even the meditation. So now, like I haven't meditated in a couple days because I've been up super early. I've been out of the house and whatever. I'm not happy about it. I'm actually feeling a little twisted because I'm not meditating, which tells me that I got to and that it's good for me. But you got to make a habit of it. And you're gonna hear 21 days makes a habit, 30 days makes a habit. I'll tell you that's bullshit. Somebody said it once and it's been translated ever since. So just your habit is wanting to make things better. That's your motivation. That's your habit. When you wake up in the morning, quick suggestion, and then I'm going to get off it. Instead of lying in bed and looking at your phone for 20 minutes, jump up, get out, and do a quick meditation. You're not wasting any part of your day. You're actually doing yourself a favor by not looking at the blue screen. Anyway, so I'll leave that with that. But yeah, so let's go back to, kind of maybe, and tell us what you want, or don't tell us what you don't want, but kind of what happened, how you went, and then, how'd you get out of it, and then move on from there.
Yeah, there's a number of different crossroads at the time of when that happened. Obviously, I felt the strain, but didn't hit rock bottom yet. We never think that we're going to. Again, when we're pushing so hard, and there's a lot of stakes. I have a lot at stake in keeping things afloat, and everybody does. Whether it's family, businesses, parenting, or parents themselves, elderly parents. There's so many different factors to one's life. But I didn't see it. And there was a lot converging. As that major and main operation of my life was winding down, my body started to really feel the effects because I didn't have to keep it going anymore. And that was under circumstances that were beyond my control, unfortunately, right? So there was some factors that moved me to literally have to pause or shut the doors or transfer aspects of the business, and that was important to do because that's the nature of the business. But unfortunately, I realized it was only then that my nervous system and my body and my mind started saying, "Okay, now that this is winding down, here's what you did to yourself." And now we're going to show you, body, I'm your body, and I'm going to tell you right now, here's what's, and again, thought was gone. Here's what thought was gone. Couldn't complete a sentence, couldn't do what I needed to do, couldn't even communicate. And that was a scary moment. I could tell you that there were a number of different moments where I would search for or find ways. Now, here's the thing, I'll back up, and I'm being very transparent here. Having studied the areas of personal development and human behavior since my teens, as I mentioned before, because I wanted to find out more about myself and what I could do to better my game and also be better understood, by those that I care for, and have them better understand me, and makes me wonder, I want to know what makes me tick. But I had some answers. I knew what to do, but my body couldn't even do it. So with all of the frameworks, the strategies, the tactics that I was well aware of, even again, I had the capability of knowing what to do, but I didn't have the capacity to execute on them. So it was a crazy eight. It was kept on cycling through my highs and lows without being able to execute on the strategies that I've learned over years, and I've served others and be able to help my children with, and so on. So that was scary. That was extremely scary. But there was times I've had good days with my walks, bad days with the walks. I would put headphones in my ears if I had to go to the store, and I would be walking through the store and nothing was playing. I just wanted to muffle out the outside sounds,
Wow.
and I didn't want anyone to even communicate with me because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to communicate back. That's not me, but I had to in order to function and still do the minimum on a day-to-day basis. My journey took about 2.5 years out. That's a long time. And again, that's why I don't wish that upon anybody. But one of the things that woke me up, was some advice from my brother. He's a little older than me. Wisdom. Some people in our lives, especially some family members, have wisdom that they want to share and could share. He said, stop forcing it and just surrender and relax. Because I was trying to find and apply all the solutions and tactics that I've learned over the years, pushing, trying to, with all this resistance going on inside of me, and I couldn't. My body wasn't even allowing it because it couldn't function. So I had to take a step back and allow myself. But the sooner I was gentler with myself, surrendered to what was experienced and what I was experiencing, not at the, again, still trying to be as obviously responsible as I could be and should be for the operations, for relationships, for businesses, for parenting, for all of that. But at the same time, I needed to become more gentle with myself. And it was then where I started to see the 1% increase every few days, not every day, every few days. I would see a 1% increase. People would balk at the idea of just having a 1% improvement in their lives. But that's where GoOneUp stands for. You got to go one up before you can make progress in a great way over time. And it's the incremental steps that moves us to greater heights, to more fulfilled perspectives, to greater relationships, to a deeper understanding of who we are, let alone the people that we love and respect around us.
Wow, I'm sitting here. Yeah, that's big because when you said 2 years, I'm going to tell you that it's almost 5 years that I'm doing the work, and I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good with what's around me. I'm pretty good with how I feel, but I don't feel 100%. I feel there's still more to do, more to learn. I feel
That's
that the
good.
world is, and
That's
I
good, by the way, because there's never going to be a plateau. See, this is where we need to accept the fact that there is no, we shouldn't put a ceiling. And I'm just saying this because once we
yeah.
set a ceiling, it's like saying, I'm going to do 12 reps and we reach the 12th rep and we could do more. It was the number that's going to stop us, or can we do
Well,
more?
yeah, and I also realize that the world is a lot bigger than me, right? So even today, as I'm saying, it's like I'm listening to you, and it's like it's almost it's like I was gonna, maybe it's not a great analogy, but it's almost, I'm thinking for me in terms of like an alcoholic. I still every day remind myself, I still every day have to, I want to do my meditation. I have little notes here and there. I still have certain conversations with some people about it, more like reminders. It's so easy to go off track, right? It's like again, like the gym. You go for a year, you go for two, you're looking good. You miss a day, a week, a month. Before you know it, you're not looking so good anymore, right? But it's a big effort. And when I went through it, um, I did a whole review of everybody around me. I wanted to make sure in my first circle that it was anybody that either made a difference in my life or that I was made a difference in their life, and we had that, because we all have many circles of friends. And what did they tell us, or what did I learn early on? That if you get into your later years and you've got 3 4 good friends, you've got more than the average, right? I'm fortunate, I've got a few more than that. But when you surround yourself with people that are really important to you and that value you, vice versa, it really helps get you through this a lot easier, because they're not asking you questions. They're not asking you to do things, right? When you go into this, and I'm sure you have some thoughts, but when you go into this situation, you're alone. And when you're alone, like you pick, you don't always want to talk to someone about it because you don't want to hear what they're going to say, or maybe whatever they're going to say is always meant to be good. Their intentions are good, but they don't always know what to say, and it doesn't always work for you, right? But being alone in your head, I'm sure people listening are sitting there going, "Oh my God," because we're alone most of the time during the day, right? And to contain it, and then it went back to your thoughts, your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions to move it out. But so what did you do when you were, you're in it? And great words from your brother, by the way, because it's always the simple, easiest words in life, like the cliches that we don't listen to, that are actually true. time
True.
heal Time heals all wounds. Well, every time you're in a situation, someone says that to you, you're like, fuck off, I don't want to hear it, right? But then fast forward, you're like, oh man, maybe I should call back and apologize, he was right.
Yeah.
But you don't do
Yeah.
that either,
No,
because
we
everyone
don't.
knows it.
We don't.
But so when you're in it, then how did you, like, get yourself moving? So you had those
You know,
thoughts, and
it
it's a big,
was
it's big, it's
It's
big.
big. They're really huge. And for anyone that hasn't experienced even a fraction of burnout, won't be able to relate to the idea of, really, it feels like It's life is everything. Getting up. So here's the one thing I made a vow to myself at the time. And I forgot about this now that you brought that question up. So thank you. It reminded me. I made a vow to myself about one thing. Every single day, I am not going to become a prisoner of my bed, because I know what downward spiral that will lead to. So I made a vow. And this was after my brother even sort of reinstated that to me after the fact, but I started it already. So I would mention to him, hey, I'm doing this already. But here's what I did. I made a vow to myself. Didn't set an alarm. I allowed my body to heal because I wasn't sleeping properly anyways. So I don't want to deprive myself. But at the same time, I would wake up when I felt as though I had to wake up or move out. But I made sure I got out of my bed. Whether I made my bed or not, there's a whole other conversation there, whether people believe that they should or shouldn't. There were
I make
days
my
I
bed
did.
every morning because it
Right.
makes me crazy.
Right, exactly. But there's other people saying, hey, if you make your bed, you won't be inclined to getting back into it because it's pristine and ready for the night that's coming. But that's one thing. I made my bed in some days I didn't. But I said to myself, if I do anything today, it's get up, wash my face, brush my teeth. If I could do that, everything else is icing. That's it. And I wanted to see and have that self-awareness and personal awareness of how did I feel following doing those. And if I know I had another ounce of energy to do something that will serve me through the self-care, the personal awareness while I attend to the built-in responsibilities of my life, then I'll attend to it. But if I know that I have the strength to go for a walk, I'm going for that walk. There's that 1%. If I know that I could journal something because I have the strength and a clearer thought today compared to yesterday, oh my gosh, I had a complete thought. I got to note that down. I would journal it. I want to give myself and build on the values and stack on the little wins. It's the little wins that bring us to the greater success or whatever we want to achieve. Period. No matter what. You wouldn't be actually having this podcast with me right now if you didn't take the little steps in setting this up and then you and I opening up the conversation in the past to be able to make this happen. It was the little steps that led to this. It's the little steps that lead to you starting meditation. There's the little steps of even the parents that would teach their children how to walk. Like they were there, determined, padding the area, watching the corners of tables. They took the little steps to build a safe environment that allowed their child to feel safe with the support and guidance to take the little steps to eventually learn how to walk.
That's where baby steps comes from, right?
We have to take the baby steps.
Everything though starts small. Listen,
Yeah.
you mentioned the walking. So you mentioned bad sleep. I mean, because you're telling me everything that I do wrong. But so I'm an awful sleeper. And then when all my kind of shit started and I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock, first of all, there's nothing worse than waking up in the middle of the night and staring at a ceiling in the dark with no one around you. That is like suicidal, right? But what I would do is, because I didn't want to be in bed, is I would get up and out of the house at 5 o'clock as the sun's rising. I'm in Montreal. I'd walk to Mount Royal and I'd catch the sunset, and I'd be posting sunsets on my Instagram because it's just cheery, it's enlightening. The amount of people that liked it and commented was actually quite nice as well, because it's brightening up their morning from what I'm told. Right. And the words of encouragement, just, oh my God, keep walking. I wish I was walking. If I didn't get out of bed, my day would not have been the same. Right. Even if I'm in the house working the rest of the day, I had an hour and a half out. I got in like, I don't know, 7, 8 kilometers, 9 kilometers. I'm cruising with headphones or no headphones. Sometimes I just like the wind and the birds in the morning. But it was instrumental. Even now, the other thing that I've learned, because we sit in front of computers, and when you're sitting in front of your desk and you can't do anything because you've got that block, right? Everybody listening, get up, go outside, go around the block for a walk. If you have to, even check out of the office. The truth is, if you're not doing anything, you're sitting there, you're not doing anything. If you're not doing anything, don't be there. Right. And if you have to talk to someone, mention it to them that you're not doing anything, because we don't want to be timed today just for our place, but empty thoughts and empty actions. Right. It's really, I learned a lot going through all of it. And I've gone through a lot. I feel pretty good, but I'm always amazed at what I hear. I'm always amazed about the subconscious. I'm always amazed at people like yourself that are doing things and then have different options for different people because everybody's different in how they deal with it. But a lot of it is fundamentally the same in the beginning, right?
Right. We have to start with the basics, the foundation of it all. How does our nervous system behave? How does our thought processes behave? Do we develop this identity for ourselves, or are we influenced? We all know that we have influences everywhere. And again, as you touched on earlier, even our childhood, how we were parented. I mean, all of these factors come into play. Now it's up to us whether we want to adopt or discard certain beliefs based on what we could shape for ourselves. And that's where, again, we have that understanding of what we could own and what we have to choose to own or choose not to own.
I was going to say, I don't want to interrupt you, but that's where we have to learn what some of our capabilities are or not. At the same time, I mean, listen, I'm medicated and I have ADHD and a couple other little things, which doesn't make it easier. So even for me, reading is brutal. To pick up certain attention things are brutal. So I've learned that. And then I've learned there's other things I have to do that are not so easy to get around some of it. But more importantly, I think I've owned it. So I don't make myself crazy because I'm not doing what some other people I know are doing. And I've learned not to compare myself to anyone else, but to be good with me, to be good about my accomplishments, to even to take in when people offer me up some nice compliments, to own them and not to shun them. Right? Because
Yep.
what did I learn? If people are saying kind things to you, it's because they mean it. People don't say kind things to you if they don't mean it. But when you're in a bad headspace, you don't hear it.
Don't hear it.
And then it's not nice for them either.
No. And you're actually, there's, and we may not even be aware of it, but we're literally sabotaging a fantastic moment for them.
Big word in the subconscious, right?
And for ourselves. And again, unfortunately, there are situations where people have negativity biases. There could be 10,000 positive things, but they'll find that one negative aspect of it and focus on that and disregard the positives that come with it. That happens. That can happen. That happens a lot with people. And it's again, it comes down to that self-awareness. If I come forward to you and I want to give you a sincere gesture, but you're in a tough place, you're not going to see it. Now, I don't blame you. You're in a tough place. I think that there's going to have to be that better understanding of me being gentler and accepting the fact that you may not have accepted it. I know that you wouldn't, but I'm bringing this as an example. But at the same time, hopefully you have the self-awareness to reflect on what happened in my gesture weeks ago to realize, you know what? I don't think Nile meant ill will. And I didn't really accept it well enough. I'm just going to reach out and just say, hey, how's everything going? It's been a couple of weeks. Hope you're well. Just reset. And I think that's another thing that we need to do, even as business owners or humans, we need to learn to reset. That's, again, also going to help us prevent us from burning out, becoming short with anybody, having a short fuse, being able to know that we could take our lives to another level, 1% more, reset. And I think having a personal reset by meditating, going for a walk, spending time, book that time with family or friends. Do the one thing, even if you prefer to be alone because you're an introvert, do the one thing that you love doing, period.
Oh, listen, I've learned to pause things, right? I could get my blood could rise very quickly. Number one, I avoid road rage for all costs. But even if I have an email that I want to write and I know I'm writing it because I'm not happy, I'm angry about something, I want to make a point, I now do the write and the leave it, right? And then the other thing that I've learned, and it's so important, is that I am me and everybody is everybody else. So, I'm pretty quick on my phone when I get emails and I respond quickly, although I'm learning to slow down because what did I learn? It's not that important that you have to reply right away. But more importantly is when you get angry or upset with the people on the other side that are not replying so quickly, although you might think that it's important, it's urgent, or you need to know, And I just had this happen the other day. I was with someone where they were doing that, and they were going off with a few words that weren't so nice. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. And again, I don't want to be the preacher. I just want to be the helper. So I'm saying the example, but I said, whoa. I said, how do you know that person wasn't called into a meeting by their boss and they're sitting there for an hour and a half? And right away, the person went, yeah, maybe you're right. And I watched them deflate because we don't know, right? We don't know anything about anything else, and we
We
can't
don't.
assume anything. So
Yeah.
that's another area that puts you in angst.
Right. And I think the more often we're self-aware of it, I keep on bringing it up, but the idea that we're self-aware, then we won't need somebody to prompt us like you just did with that person. You could take a step back and say, maybe they're busy. Like I got to just decompress for a moment, because I know if I was busy, I wouldn't be able to respond. Again, it helps to put yourself, it's perspective. The self-awareness, the perspective, being gentle, and understanding that there's so many different nuances to every situation we experience, whether alone or with others. And it's important for us to be aware. I mean, just respect it. It's almost out of respect.
Well, respect.
And so you have to, know that then the more you can respect, the more resistance you're going to face.
And I think in my later years, the word respect has come up a lot more. Not the same meaning that my parents had when they would scream at me for showing them no respect. Just acknowledging, to me now, just acknowledging that there's other people and everyone has their ways and things, and everyone's right and everyone's wrong, but not to judge, right? The judging thing is also really bad. When you're not in a good headspace and you start doing that, you really alienate yourself some more, right, with everybody else around you. Okay, so we're going to do this again and go on, but there's one thing. So you came up with GoOneUp.
Yes.
Which I think is really cool. So tell everybody what OneUp is, what's behind it, what you do.
GoOneUp is actually it really originally transpired and formed by the idea for people to know that you can go one up in just incremental steps in any area of your life. And that is okay. That's how things happen. It's the rejections that we learn from. It's the, making a sales call and the rejection happens. We learn from that. How did I go into that call? What was the response? Oh, I didn't have a response to that objection. I got to find a response to that objection so I'm ready next time. There's an opportunity to go one up in every facet of life. And I think that, again, doing the reps, exercising, health, building better relationships, even with your partner or with your children or with whoever it is, your neighbor, the small gestures that won't be taxing to you, won't be overwhelming to others, it's all doable. And if we just, again, respect the idea that this is possible, I do have the power to do this. I'm not going to let my ego get in the way. I'm not going to let my preconceived notion of what my identity should be, chest out, shoulders back, being all tough about it. Well, how do I want to show up? Well, show up in such a way with integrity, with value, with respect, with gentle care, if that's what you want, and go one up first for yourself. And I'll be honest, that's not selfish, because the more you can serve and elevate yourself to a point of feeling fulfilled, you'll have way more to offer your family, your friends, your clients, your neighbors, and anybody else that crosses your path. So the philosophy of Go One Up is taking those, really enjoying taking those incremental steps to improve any area of your life. But there was also a flip side to this. And I actually saw a lot of great opportunities for small businesses and entrepreneurs to go up in their own lives, because they're humans first. And if you can't be whole or feel as though you could operate at the level that you want to operate, having the capabilities in your business, but you don't have the capacity as a person, as a human, to show up, how do you expect your business to survive? How? You're not a robot. I say this all the time. You're not a robot. And if you need the guidance, you need the support, the accountability, the frameworks, the strategies, it's all available to you. So with that, I developed GoOneUp strategic coaching on the personal side and on the business side, because I have frameworks and methodologies that will help ease the strain that an entrepreneur experiences as a business owner and in their industry, and also for people at a personal level within their relationships and health and wellness.
Yeah, so important. When you talk about like good things, first of all, I don't think enough people laugh today,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I can't sit there and not make jokes. I like holding doors open for people when I walk in, just to hear thank you and a smile. And in the mornings when I walk at like whatever 5:30, 6:30, there's only a few people on the street. Love saying hello to people.
Yeah.
Love saying hello to people who you could tell were a little taken aback but said hello, because it's not their comfort zone.
Right.
But there isn't a person who doesn't say hello or good morning that doesn't smile after.
Yeah, even if it's a wave. Like, so I go on a dedicated path through by my place, and there's, by the time I usually go midday, and you see a lot of people. I guess they're taking their time during midday and so on. And I might have my headphones in. They see that or so on. But I initiate the wave just to know, and a smile. I mean, that lifts me first of all. Again, not again being selfish, but if we could exude and demonstrate a sense of ease, and that we're here in this world together, it it makes us feel less alone, no matter what you're going through. And I don't have to know your life story. I don't even have to have a
No.
conversation with you. But just the idea that I see you. I think that there's something that could be said for that. I see you.
So I saw on YouTube a bunch of years ago, this guy standing at a bus stop, crowded bus stop, knew nobody, and he just started. It was an exercise, right? But he just started laughing and continued uncontrollably to laugh. And before you knew it, there was 22 people standing around him, all laughing, and no one knew why. But you know what? They're all smiling, they're all laughing. They didn't know why, but what a great place, what a great mind space to be in, right? And when you're doing that, it really takes your mind off of all your other shit. And even if it's for a few moments, it lightens you up and lifts you.
The power of interrupting a moment that you don't want to experience is very powerful. So I know there are moments where I'm feeling clouded, something's not sticking on something I'm working on or developing, or a project. I would literally get out, jump up, put some music on, and change my state. Just changing your state alone in a moment. Again, that incremental step to move beyond what I'm experiencing right now in another promising direction. And who knows where that will take you? It could take you to another step up, but at least I know it's not where I'm stuck right now. I made
Break
one
the break the thought.
break the thought, break the pattern, interrupt what you don't want to experience in an unfavorable fashion. Like, that's an unfavorable state. I want to bring it favorable. What do I need to do? Send a text. I really want to reach out to this person. Send the text. Just send it. There's nothing wrong. Like, and if they don't respond, that's on them. They're busy. Don't take it personally. There's an idea of recognizing that there are so many nuances to people's lives, respecting that, but knowing that you did what you said you wanted to do or makes you feel great is the stepping stone to feeling more whole and knowing that you have the capacity to do more.
Listen, little things, right? LinkedIn.
Little.
So on LinkedIn, whatever, I've got a big following, certain anniversaries come up, business or birthdays or something, and everybody clicks the happy birthday. It's the button at the bottom, happy birthday. I don't click that button. To me, it's disingenuine, right? And there's no real effort, and I appreciate the push of the button, but I know there's no real heartfelt thought in there. But what I do is I like to reply to every single person, right? It's all part of my networking and staying in touch with people, but I don't use a LinkedIn response, and I might do some copy and paste, but I'll have 3 or 4 different responses that I thought about, that I wrote, that I'll send to different people, because I want them to know that I took a real minute and the time to come up with something, to just to be not to be genuine.
Yeah.
And I try to be genuine, because I think it just makes it better, easier. And I think people know when you're genuine,
Yeah.
and you're authentic, and you say what it is, and it could be good and it could be bad, but it's coming out of you or out of me, and it's straight. And if there's a tear, the tear is real. There's nothing to hide in life, right? There's nothing. Big guys cry, little guys cry. Like it's not. Listen, for every guy listening, if you watched the movie Rudy, you had tears. And I like to watch that movie alone, actually, because when the first time when there's a couple women in the room, you're kind of like, and you're like trying to get rid of the little tear coming down the eye.
I'm not afraid to cry. I mean, that's the point.
No,
I
me
mean,
neither.
no,
But
yeah, I
I'm
know you're
laughing,
not.
right?
I know, but we have these moments where we feel again. Isn't that interesting that you get this preconceived belief that a guy shouldn't cry, and you're trying to hold back the tears because of the people that you were present with. So where did that come from? Who made that rule? And that's the
Who
point.
made
So I
that
mean,
rule?
who made that rule? Like the idea is, I really do appreciate movies. I'm very visual. And so whether you notice the music behind the scene and so on, that helps elevate the experience. I like seeing the emotions, feeling the emotions of what the characters are experiencing. And so I get crazy emotional in some moments, even when I'm anticipating something that could be happening, and it may not even happen, but I'm anticipating it, so I'm more immersed in the experience. So I'm going to say this to the guys also, if anything, hopefully I think the generation has grown and matured a lot. I think that we, as men, share and demonstrate more emotion today than maybe even 10, 15 years ago. But I think that we could show more.
Yeah, no. And the other thing is, you feel better after.
You do.
Like
Period.
you really
Yeah.
do, right? So
And
it's
because you're also being genuine for yourself. You're being genuine to yourself. You're showing your true qualities and so on. And if you can't do that, then how are you living?
I'm
Right?
smiling because there's been a few Bell commercials where I've watched them where
Yeah.
something hit me and I'm kind of like, just kind of wipe that tear away, at that moment, right? So it's pretty funny. But yeah, listen, I think honesty and people putting out who they are in all ways is a great thing. And I think it's great when you're working with and your inner circle knows who everybody is and what they do and how they react in a lot of ways. So it makes it easier to work. Okay, so now I want to ask you because I want to go on it, but you've put together this Kilimanjaro adventure,
Yes.
and
What do you want to know?
I want to know what it is because I want people listening to want to go so that we can make the trip happen. I
Yeah.
want to go to Kilimanjaro.
That
It's
would be amazing. This is a pretty.
I've been to Ahmed Dablam in Nepal, which is
Oh my,
like, which I will tell you, I was there with 4 people, walking up, trekking up. We all had space between us because everyone moves at their own pace. The thought and the thinking that you do when you're walking up at 10, 12, 15,000 feet and the air and the mountains, you're not thinking about your work. You're not thinking about anything that's not relevant in life.
right.
The amount of self-thought that happens over that I went through then
Mm-hmm.
was unbelievable. So then when I saw yours, I'm like, okay, trip 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's awesome. It's an incredible experience that I created with my co-founder Sean Swarner, who's a Grand Slam explorer. So what a Grand Slam explorer is, a person that's climbed all 7 peaks of the world and has traveled to and got to the North and South Poles. So has
Wow.
been and constantly exploring. Now the incredible uh, story and feat of Sean is that he's a 2-time cancer survivor and has climbed these peaks and reached these heights and far reaches with one lung. And so and he's climbed Mount Kilimanjaro more than me, but we've come together. He's done it 22 plus times, and that's just Mount Kilimanjaro. But with that, I we crossed paths. I reached out to him. I loved his story. I loved what he was doing in regards to helping cancer survivors, and I wanted to support him. And we wanted to then create an opportunity, bringing his expertise in peak performance and leadership and myself bringing strategic coaching in the areas of personal and business, bring that and have that basically collide in such a way that we could build a most immersive experience in helping people break through their limiting beliefs and take their lives to the next level. So what we do, Ultimate Life Climb, if you go to the ultimatelifeclimb.com or ultimatelifeclimb.com, that would be where you get all the information. But we travel and we hike up Mount Kilimanjaro together over 7 days while we coach and guide and help you achieve greater success in any area of your life while we're collectively doing it in this very small, intimate, fun group. And it's an incredible experience because we know by midday doubt sets in. This is a great experience and opportunity for you to realize that doubt is just in the mind and it is doable. So
Yeah,
and we take it to the next level.
And then you have the whole team working together.
The whole team together.
Which is I've always, in my business world of coming up, I always loved when I went to events or I went to places where they had team building, they had speakers doing what you do, because it really helps you break down some of the boundaries. Because at the end of the day, we're all just people, right? And when you're all lying in the hospital bed, no one's talking about the stuff you didn't do.
Right.
Or what, they're talking about the important things. So I think it's cool. So how many people, and I'll tell you why I'm asking the question, but how many people does it take to make this trip?
You mean like participants, like people that want to do it themselves? Well, you know what? We keep the groups pretty small and intimate. A minimum of 5, a minimum of 5 to 6 would be reasonable, but we could go upwards of 15 to 17. So it's not a huge group because this is a really specific and growth. It's a growth opportunity for every single person that comes on this journey. And again, I'll just add this real quick, following the 7-day climb successfully, we have a 99% success rate with not only us, but the team that we have available to us when it comes to those that join us. We got our mess tents are pitched, meals are prepped. It's incredible on the logistics and the operation that we have in place, and all things are included. But following the 7 days, we actually go on a 4-day Serengeti safari, and in the wild. So it's pretty. And now you're at another level. You've just summited Mount Kilimanjaro, and now you're experiencing the wild, nature at its best in their domain, in a way that you've never seen before, unless you've been to the Serengeti. So, but that's an incredible journey too.
I'm sitting and I'm smiling. So I had a trip planned to go actually to Africa and do a couple safaris. And the day I was leaving, my daughter got sick and we had to cancel. So I never got there. It was also the same day I learned that you always need to have travel insurance when you book big trips, because there's something, if it will go wrong, it will go wrong. But you know what? I'm going to talk to you offline. I want to see what it is to put together a trip for 6 to 10 people and what's involved. And then I want to put a trip together and I want to offer it out to my audience and anyone that I know, any of the followers we have. So we're going to put together a little package. We're going to put together the good, the bad, like all the good, bad, and ugly reasons why people go and don't go, and the benefit. And we'll look at, it's only a couple times a year that you could do it. So we'll have to see.
We don't even have the next date scheduled just yet for this year, but we could aim for 2026. We provide all the information, all the guides. We have a membership side to the site. Sure. We provide the training guide, the gear list, all the information you need. We're here as your guides, and we know what to expect and so on, what not to expect, how to pack, what to pack. How
little to pack.
Oh, you know what? How little to pack and be efficient. The efficiency behind that, but it's all really doable as long as you're willing to break through those limitations. If you want to take your life to another level, this is a perfect opportunity. So I'm excited to chat with you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we're gonna put something together and I'm gonna put it out there. I mean, I don't think it's easy, but it can't be that hard to find people for an experience like that.
I
And
think it's, you know what, it's a bucket list item, and it's a life-changing experience. That's all I could say. If you're looking for a life-changing experience and you want to take your own personal well-being and mental state and achievements to another level, even if you are feeling successful, this is an incredible experience. That's all I could say.
and by the way, this doesn't have anything to do with success or failure. This
No,
has to do with the inner soul and
right.
accomplishing something. And see, and this was the other thing that when I did Ama de Blam, and we got up to 15,000 feet. I was going to do some little motivational videos the whole way, but I couldn't because my brain wasn't there. I was so into everything I was doing. And then when I got to the top and I was looking around and I was going to do a little video, like I had tears running down my face because what a peak to hit. I didn't do the summit because that was like that's a different operation. But just to get up there and to walk around and the sense of accomplishment. And then, when we started the trek, my buddy said, "Hey, when we make that turn, you're going to see Mount Everest." And I was like, "Whoa!" And we made the turn, and there was Mount Everest, and that was a National Geographic moment. That was a game-changing moment because we all know Everest from the movies, and we all know them from the TV and National Geographic and the pictures. But to see it live, and the wind blowing like the snow off the peak, what looked like a flag almost, unbelievable. Then you get to the top of where you're going and like base camp Ama de Blam, and it was just wow, just game changing thoughts, everything. And it was like group hug. And anyways, I'm getting goosebumps and all that other stuff that comes back with it. So I'm going to
Yeah.
put something out there for everybody listening. We're going to try and fill it up and get people to go. We're going to wrap this up, but we're going to do this again. And we're going to do this again because this is a never ending topic. There's always somebody who, if they didn't know it then, might need a little encouragement, a little boost to pick themselves up to go. Everybody should know you're not alone. Life is challenging. The more out there, the more challenging it gets, right? And we get just clouded and filled with so much content, whatever it is and where it's from. Anything final you want to say on the way out?
Yeah, no, Warren, thank you very much for this. This is an opportunity. I love chatting with you. I love sharing. As you could see, I could go on about a number of things. I would love to chat again. But you know what? I actually created an opportunity where if any of your listeners want to reach out and even just have a complimentary strategy session to even explore their own next level, you know what I mean? Their GoOneUp. I'll be glad to do that. So I'm going to share that with you if you want to put that in the show notes, and they could book a time with me. I'll be glad to have a conversation.
Yeah, you know what? You'll make me a Calendly link or something.
Yep.
And when
It's
I
done.
post
I just
everything,
got to
I
find
will.
it.
Okay. And then and I'll put it up there. And I would encourage everybody, if you made it this far and you're listening, then obviously you've got an interest in what we're talking about. And reach out to Nile. It can't be bad. Can't be bad. And if not Nile, reach out to anybody, but don't sit by yourself and drown in your own thoughts. That's the one thing I would suggest to everybody. And if you don't want to phone anyone else, you could phone me. I'm happy to talk. My number's everywhere, and anyone can call anytime. If I answer the phone, I'm good to talk. If I don't answer, it's because I don't want to talk or I'm busy. Anyways, Niall, thank you so much for your time on this episode. Everybody else, I'm just going to say this was awesome. I'm getting out of here. We'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you all, and thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. See you.